Menards. We hashed out a lot of the details with the Planning Commission a few months ago, so I'm not going to repeat that, but some of the big takeaways were, Menards has outgrown our Madison East location. We can't expand any further, so we're looking for somewhere else to go. And Sun Prairie is a great community. We're excited to be moving forward with the process and be part of it. If there are questions on site selection, let me know. I'm happy to go through some of those details again. We picked this site because it was closest to the retail. There wasn't any other spaces for us in town, and we really wanted to be a part of Sun Prairie, so we went forward with what we thought was best. The leadership plan might have to change, and we're going through that process. What we came for tonight was comments on and your suggestions on what's behind it. We've had some feedback from staff on different ideas and changes and stuff you guys want to see. So when I come back next time to see you, I'd like to present a plan that you're happy with. So tonight, let me know what you're looking for, so when we submit officially, we can incorporate some of that stuff.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Mr. Cabot? Or Mr. Edwards, I'm sorry.
Well, yes, which is the end of my statement, but I will go right straight to it. I've had a number of discussions with folks. Some people wrongly think I'm against the Menard proposal when I'm arguing on the phone with callers who are calling me up saying, go for this, and I'm saying, I want a plan. I want to see the consequences for a radical big change over there before we just go with it. And several people said, well, if we don't act on this quickly, Menards is going to leave. Menards wants to be a good neighbor, but they're saying we can't afford to lose this opportunity. So I just ask you friendly and directly, if our town takes a number of months to hire a consultant to get all these questions analyzed, get some numbers, and look at the potential consequences, good and bad, of changing that whole area over there, as this would do, are you interested in waiting, or are you going to, as some people fear, find another town?
No, I'm certainly not coming towards you making a threat if you don't prove this as soon as possible.
Excuse me, could you adjust your microphone?
Sorry about that. To repeat myself, we're not making a threat that we're going to leave if you don't approve us. We love Sun Prairie, we want to be a part of it, so if it takes a few months, that's the process we go through. So we're not looking anywhere else, we're not moving on.
Then maybe I could list my list of concerns at this moment?
I'm sorry?
Could I list my list of concerns for him to hear and think about? Take about 3 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, all right. So the spiel that I made to several people, and I'd like you to hear, and others in the audience, I look at this as a 100-year decision. When we shape that area, that's going to be that way for 100 years, which is why I'm glad to hear that you're willing to work with someone here for a number of months. Where my proposal is that we hire a consultant and redo a plan. And what would it be? The traffic concerns, the number of vehicles that would be not only coming to your store, but all the others that might follow, concern that it would make roads like Highway 19 at Westmount is local, is very dangerous now. We're having a hard time getting DOT to help us on that, and we would have hundreds of thousands more vehicles. So I need a plan. Let's look at and have the plan and the signalization and the lanes plan. I'm concerned that Grand Avenue might not be wide enough for the multiple large draws that would come. And do we need a road as big as East Washington or Gammon Road on Madison's west side to handle that volume? I saw Madison make mistakes 30 years ago and paid millions of dollars fixing over by the west side because they undersized the roads and then drew too much traffic for them. This isn't involving Menards, but 15 years ago we made a mistake near the Liberty Square area on stormwater, and now we're paying $650,000 to rectify that, just one mistake. So I want us to have a plan to identify the cost ahead of time so that we don't pay millions later on. So we need, I'm looking for that kind of thinking. The water flow, the change in the design for that area would probably cause stormwater to go different ways, need to be managed, we need a plan for that. You folks don't want to come in there and have things not work well, so again, a plan. And I'm concerned about Sun Prairie West Side commutes through Grand Avenue to their Madison area jobs every morning and every evening. That needs to be factored into turning lanes and traffic lanes. I don't know how you do it, but I know there are people who are smart who do know how to do that. So I'll not go through just everything I've written down here because I don't want to take too much time, but I'm really encouraged to hear you say that you're willing to allow us some time where we can consider, and at some point I will propose to this body that we hire a consultant and get a study, even if it's while you're developing your potential designs. And then the last comment about the design, we're a long ways from it, but the 30-foot wooden wall or fence was a concern. And I think we need to look at to see if there's some other option. The ceiling is roughly 30 feet or almost 30 feet, and that's a pretty big wooden fence. So we can deal with that later, but the bigger one is a plan for the whole area and then see what it costs and how we solve the problems. Thank you for listening.
Alder Guyant, just for some additional information for you, in talking with the planning department, I do believe that a traffic study will be done in that area, correct? Or it is something that you are looking for, so we know that the traffic is going to be handled correctly?
Excuse me, we would require as part of this next submittal that Menards do a traffic impact analysis that shows what the impact of their development is on the surrounding street system. What I heard from Alder Guyant was perhaps something a little broader than that, that looks out much farther than we typically would do with a individual proposal like this.
Okay.
Typically what we do is study nearby intersections and those that we are specifically concerned about the impact of this store. And if there are improvements there, then those can be discussed as part of the review of the development and cost sharing, or should Menards be responsible for making those improvements, those kind of discussions can occur. You mentioned impacts as far away as Highway 19 and Westmount and so forth, and that's a much broader thing.
Can I add to that? You're exactly right that, and I read your memo says that if we go this route with Menards in that location, the whole character of the area would very likely change. And what I'm looking for is let's assume that happens. Let's assume other big box operations come in and other small businesses come in. I want to see the impact of all of that and what are the costs, what needs to be done so it works, if it can work. Not just one store, but thank you. You're right.
Alder Frank. Yeah, Frank.
You got it. Thank you for coming this evening. I appreciate you taking the time. This isn't the first Menards that you guys real estate-wise did or is doing, right?
No, I've got a few, 20 of them under my belt right now.
Okay, so when you come into a community and you want to say, hey, we're Menards, we want to build this store at this location, you take all of these things into consideration. And you look out, how far out do you look to see who else is going to join you in this development, or do you even care about that?
We do. We looked at the existing retailers, looked at retailers that may be outgrowing their spaces. One of the things that really kind of narrowed down who could be next to us was the wetlands that are out there and the pipeline. That really narrows down to the south of us, shrinks the site depth from what we have at about 800 feet to about 300 feet, just by the way the wetlands curve through. So there's a small chunk of retail, but then the rest of us behind us could still continue through the plan of office park, townhomes, and we actually put together a small plan to share that with staff. To kind of show the whole area as a mixed-use area still, just incorporating retail along Grand and the wetlands being a significant buffer.
And you guys do all the environmental impact and all the rest of that to figure out, okay, we need this, we need that, so many parking stalls, so high, so much water capacity.
Absolutely. We've already started the wetland.
Then over, since you've been doing this, when Menards comes in and they build their store, what do you see develop around it?
It depends. A lot of times, at a spot like this, we'd see some smaller banks, we see maybe some fast food, gas stations, because there's not enough room for, say, an old Walmart next to us, or even probably Kohl's, it's too narrow, you're gonna look at some of the smaller strip center type developments.
So you're not gonna have big box after big box after big box?
There's just not enough room up there.
That's what I thought, okay. Well, I'd like to see you come. I'd love to have you here. You bet.
Alder Gage.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about the locations that you currently have with a mixed-use kind of concept. A lot of the stores that I'm familiar with are in primarily retail areas near Target or those kind of stores, locations in Eau Claire and Madison sites. I mean, is there something that you would have in mind to have appear like more of a neighborhood store, neighborhood concept that would still work with mixed use? And if you could just kind of provide some detail on what that might look like.
Sure. We only build one store model. It's the store model we presented. What we do is integrate different features to kind of soften the impacts. Like if you look at the Eau Claire store on the east side of town, there's apartments right behind there. This would be something similar, except the property line wetland buffer is expands up to about 300 feet between the property line. You can do things on the back of the warehouse, like change the different types of materials, add more landscaping, add some berms, add a pond. Same with the sides of the store. You can change berms, you can change landscaping. You can do things to soften the impact. So, if you're living and looking out your back window, you're not seeing the back of Mark's warehouse. You're seeing a wetland, you're seeing trees, and then, behind that, then you see some architectural features.
Okay, thank you.
Alder Crossbender.